thanks for coming in. And can you introduce yourselves and explain why you wanted to reach out to Sharp Property Buyers to help with your investment purchase?
I'm Ash.
Yeah, and I'm Shaun. We're locals here on the Central Coast. We've over the years, bought and sold a few, and Ash has moved up from Sydney, so she's had a bit of experience down there, and also with your real estate.
I have had a bit of experience, obviously, in real estate with 15 years in selling and buying. So I guess we reached out to you guys because I have a bit of inside knowledge and how important it is to use a buyer's agent, especially when you're buying outside of an area that you know really well. We also have two small kids. We've got a 3-year-old and, a 4-month-old. So we just don't have the time to be putting a lot of energy into that. And we trusted you guys to take that on for us.
Awesome. I think you've been a little bit modest there. A little bit of experience. 15 years is a pretty long time doing something. Very successful on the selling side and the buying side as well. Was it hard to, I guess, hand over the responsibility to someone else when you are obviously competent in that kind of searching, talking with agents, understanding value? Was it kind of hard to hand over that that responsibility to us?
I don't think it was hard at all. I don't know whether that is because we just had a lot of trust in you guys from the word go. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we felt really comfortable, from the minute that we were chatting. I guess our first conversation about areas to look for an investment property and things, you just took any doubt out of our mind that we needed to, be all over something or make sure we were watching what you guys were doing or stuff like that. So I don't think that it was hard for me to let go of that at all.
That's good. Yeah. And I think, local knowledge is so important, right? Like if you're a buyer's agent that specializes in a certain area or even with owner occupiers compared to investors, it's a very different kind of skill set, I think. Like you're looking at different things. If you're an owner occupier, you need to be really owner occupier buyer's agent. You need to be really nurturing. You need to have a really good sense for what the client wants and what their emotional needs are and whatnot. On the investment side of things, it's actually, we enjoy it, our team, but it can be quite boring for a lot of people because we're looking at data, we're reading reports, we're understanding economic drivers, we're having a look at, the ABS, the Australian Bureau of Statistics website, which can be very dry to certain people, but completely different skill set there. And those key drivers that we look for help give us confidence to suggest the market's going to perform, right? And I guess from your perspective, I suppose, giving that trust to us to say, right, here are the areas and these are the reasons why, maybe that's probably why you felt a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, even when we assigned you guys, I had people saying, oh, why don't you just do it yourself? You know how to buy like property. Why don't you just do it? But having worked in the industry, I'm exactly what you said. I love buying things for people or homes for people that they're going to live in. I love that emotional side, whether it's the mother in me or the woman in me that likes to, look after them, their emotional needs and where they're going to spend the rest of their life and have their family grow up there. But when it comes to the numbers of investments and all of that stuff, I would just rather give it to someone that is all over that. And having worked in the industry, like I just know the value in that. And I'm not going to pretend like, I can do it all, because I think it's so important to have someone on your team that knows exactly how to do that transaction for you.
Yeah, awesome. And I know, Shaun, you bought in properties before, investment property before. How was that experience? And I guess, what was the difference between maybe the experience with us compared to when you guys did it yourselves?
Yeah, for sure. Timing with both of them's been a big thing, and I suppose it is with everything. But our first one we bought here on the Central Coast, and I remember the first night we thought we were all over the renovations. We were up till about 1 or 2 trying to sand this place back and paint it, and did a little bit of a reno on it, and then we're renting it out for a little bit, and then for timing, again with different things happening. Obviously, the recent one with you guys was kids came into it. The other one, we had a bit of a hailstorm which damaged our house, so we had to sell the investment to sort of make our home how we'd like it. But yeah, the difference, to answer your question, the difference in the experience was just chalk and cheese. With you guys, it was just smooth sailing. Touch on what Ash said before. At that stage, we just wanted it set and forget. You guys came up with the data. You guys came up with the locations. You guys did all the legwork and the behind the scenes and really made it smooth for us to basically sign a few papers and say yes, which is exactly what we wanted and what we'd want again in the future. In comparison to the first one, you know, you're sort of hustling around, looking at a few open homes, thinking, should we buy this one? Should we not buy this one? Is this a good spot? In saying that, our first one was in a bit of a low-lying area and had a fair bit of water. So you learn as you go. And but I mean, it takes a lot of the pressure off when you use someone like you guys. And in terms of how smooth the whole process was, yeah, can't fault it.
Yeah.
Even just dealing with I mean, I've been a selling agent myself for like many years. And even when, as a buyer, when you've got to actually then go and deal with the agents, like, you know that they're working for the seller and you got to talk to all these different agents. You don't ever trust what they're fully saying to you either. When I also have been on the other side being a buyer's agent, and you do have a better relationship with those agents because they know they're going to get more business from you. So I feel like as a buyer, you just have a different relationship with an agent as what a buyer's agent would. And that's a huge advantage to have.
Yeah, agreed. Especially in the investment side of things. Like, look, we spend a huge amount of time before you enter a market in researching that market, getting a really good understanding of the layout of the land, knowing what the most desirable suburbs are, knowing what the best schools are, knowing where the artillery roads are, knowing where the noise constraints are. Like, all of these things we'll check before we actually enter in a market. And also part of our research is introducing ourselves to agents, you know, knocking on doors to agents and property managers just to see who we have some synergy with in terms of our characters and whatnot. Because you're right, like the agent relationships that you hold are critical, and they're really kind of the gatekeeper to a good or a not so good outcome when you're buying. And look, we have, I mean, a lot of sales agents will get frustrated with us because we do have a quite high standard when it comes to properties, you know, like, I mean, Jade's had many of arguments with agents about, you know, we're not buying that because it's on a main road. We're not buying that because it's next to a townhouse site. We're not, you know, not buying that because it's next to a bunch of townhouses and all these types of things. But once you build that trust, and once, I guess, the agents start to have a bit of an idea in terms of what you expect with regards to an investment property, it can make that process very, very seamless and very easy.
And we noticed that too, I think, with the agent that we dealt with up there. We only had a little bit of contact sort of once it had exchanged. And you could tell that you guys had a great relationship. Like, he's in another state, you know, we didn't ever see him or anything, and you probably barely ever see him as well. But, you know, he spoke really highly of all of you guys, and we could tell that he, you know, wanted to do the right thing by you guys. And that's a game changer, I think.
And I suppose the access that and the opportunity they give you guys compared to the average Joe too, being off market, like the one we purchased was off market that you presented to us. So, I mean, we may never have seen that if it wasn't for using you guys. And there's plenty of people out there scrolling the internet, I'm sure, looking for houses and properties, but the ones you don't see sometimes can be the best ones that you guys definitely get the inside word for. So yeah, I suppose that's another crucial thing.
Yeah, and it's just about being across everything that's available, right? Whether it be on market or off market. And Ash, you know this as well. It's like not every single off market property is amazing.
Yeah.
It's like it can be off market for a reason, right? It could be overpriced. The agent may not be able to sell it. It could be unmotivated vendor, but there are still plenty of opportunities out there that are good opportunities that are off market, and you know that we're securing for clients that are basically uncontested. You know, we don't have any competition there.
We had one, didn't we look at one first and then the pest and build didn't come back amazing? We looked at one first, which was a really good one in a great area, and then the pest and build wasn't
That's right.
amazing.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, yeah, so part of the due diligence is obviously making sure that we get a building and pest done with someone that we obviously a reputable building inspector in an area. We have some other clauses as well with our purchase, but that's right. Yeah, we had a building and pest come back that we weren't comfortable with, were we? There was just too many maintenance items, and giving that logistically, it was a long way away.
Yeah.
We thought, look, this one's going to be probably too many headaches. Obviously, you were young parents at that stage as well. And we thought, look, let's just park that and we'll pass on that one, and then we'll continue on with the search.
Yeah, which again, that was really good because we, again, not knowing the area, I remember that one was in a really good suburb. I think it was a different one than the one we ended up buying, but you really considered where we were at in our lives currently. You know, it could have been great if we had good cash flow at the time to pump a bit of money into it because it would have made great money and probably would have got good rent. But just taking into consideration where we were at and making us feel comfortable and passing on what we, you know, if we knew it was a really good area, but not really across everything, we might have just been like, oh, it's fine, we'll just jump on it. We don't want to let this one go if we were just buying it on our own. You know, but for you to sort of give us the confidence to say, no, there'll be something else. And we got exactly that, something even better.
Yeah, awesome. And like, it's so important to tailor that search and that investment to the individuals, right? Like if you're young, don't have any kids, young tradie, you know, you take a gamble on that opportunity and say, you know, I'll get up there and I'll fix it out. I know how to navigate this. But if you're busy in life, if you're not handy, if you're busy in life, you've got young kids, you know, you don't want that headache because the investment experience just doesn't become a good one, right? And that's the last thing we want. We don't want to be giving our clients a headache. So walk us through the purchase, and it was off market. I think we paid 18,000 for it. So we paid 418,000 for it. You held that property for 2 years, was it? Okay. And then we had the conversation where it was like, Matt, I think we're going to sell, which is the worst conversation I like to have, right? Because everyone knows I'm a buy and hold investor, but I'm also well-rounded enough to understand life changes, new opportunities pop up, and you know sometimes you got to sell the property to move into that next sort of stage. Obviously, both of you have a really successful business at the moment, and there's a great opportunity for you to expand that business, which I think this may have come into play. So bought it for 418,000. At the 2-year mark, we said, okay, I think we need to sell it. Can you just walk us through maybe the price increase and what that sale experience was like, and whether or not we kind of guided you
for sure.
appropriately on that?
It was actually a bit of a hard convo to have at the start when I contacted you, but yeah, like we said, circumstances changed. We had another little baby on the way. We started our business up, and we thought, you know, this is a good time. Also, Ash wasn't working as much that year, so capital gains was reduced. So all of these little factors came into making that decision. And then, obviously we would have, our initial idea was to hang on to it for a lot longer. But when we did sell at the 2-year mark, it absolutely blew our expectations with the price we got. We sold it for, I think, 622.
But there was a journey with that too, where we, I think you had a couple of clients that were potentially interested, and you know, we had offers and stuff, and there was a few. It wasn't a new property, so the pest and build. Not that it was a bad pest and build, but there's just cosmetic stuff that needed to be done, which sort of wasn't ideal for your clients at the time. They did make an offer, but it wasn't that high, and you guided us really well into saying, I think you should get an agent because I reckon you can get more. You know, again, we fully trust what you tell us after the experience that we had with buying. So, we decided to actually go and get an agent that you recommended. And he did an awesome job. It was sold off market to their database, but what we had like a 60 grand increase and that was in like the first week.
And I suppose that's another thing on the pest and build for somebody like to hear a pest and build, and I've never seen a pest and build that's perfect. There's no house that hasn't got something wrong with it. So to be guided again by you guys, or have the confidence and the knowledge to just either snap it up, or to back away from it, like this person did. But I suppose then it played into our benefit for the next person that ended up paying 60 grand more, which we were stoked with. So
Yeah, that's a great
it's a
win.
win.
So what did you buy it for? What did you sell it for? And the time frame? What was it?
My brain's all
So
foggy.
418 we purchased it for and sold it for 622.
Wow. 2 years later.
2 years later, yeah.
Massive.
Yeah.
200 grand in 2 years.
Yeah.
That's
That
huge.
200 grand's gone on nappies now, but anyway. That's a win at the time. Nah.
Shaun, you said something early on, and I think anyone selling property, an investment property, needs to think about this. Okay, so what are the tax implications when we sell the property, right? Because there can be tens of thousands there lost to the ATO if you're not strategic and if you're not across your own personal circumstances. And without giving too much away for yourselves, it's important to go and chat with an accountant.
Yeah.
Say, hey, what does the scenario look like if we sell in this investment property? This looks like our potential sale price.
Yeah.
This is what we purchased it for. What are the losses going to look like? And then have a look at your net position, right?
Yeah.
If I see too many people go, oh, I heard the property's gone up 200 grand. I'm just going to sell it tomorrow. And they've already spent that 200 grand. And then at the end of that tax year, the accountant's like, oh, wait there. I didn't realize you sold a property, or the ATO goes, I didn't realize you sold a property for 200,000 and you've had that amount of capital gain. That's also on top of your salary, any business earnings that you potentially made. Also, there are implications with moving into higher tax bracket, whether or not you got childcare. All of these things come into play when you sell an asset. So if anyone out there is going to be selling something, sit down with your accountant first, make sure if it makes sense for you to do so, and then go and do it, which you obviously did. Which is why you've had such a good experience there.
Yeah, 100%. And without that information, we probably wouldn't have made the decision we did. And again, timing is absolutely everything. So the circumstance we were in, Ash was in that lower tax bracket, and we decided to sell because of that. The capital gains was reduced massively for us at that time. The other things to consider, obviously, you're paying agent fees and things like that on the exit. But yeah, your income that you're earning from whatever the investment, whether it's property or whatever, gets added on to your yearly income, and then they work it out that way. But
even with childcare, like you said, like we didn't even think to do it, but like our accountant said, make sure you put up your income for your childcare subsidy. Like we obviously, well, now having sold that for this year, we haven't got any subsidy, and you need to take that into account that you're going to be in that next bracket, you're going to be earning more that year. So what it said that I earned in the year has taken away all our subsidy. So we've had to make sure that we've had a bit more cash flow to make sure that we could pay for that year. But that's stuff that people would probably just not even do, and then you owe the government money at the end of the year.
Yeah. And I think it's all about just getting a good team around you, right? And if you've got an accountant that you trust, maybe a financial planner or advisor, possibly a buyer's agent or a property advisor, you get all those people there, and you just lean into the most appropriate profession. That way you got an idea. You've got all the numbers in front of you. You go, you know what, this still makes sense. Let's sell the property. Right? You're better off having that conversation before you sell than after, like you said, actually you're scratching around. You're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I was going to have to pay an extra 30,000 in tax. I didn't realize I was going to have to pay an extra 10,000 in childcare. Geez, that profit's just being chewed up straight away, right? So I think you guys
there's other sneaky ways that the accountants give you to be able to put a bit of that into super to reduce your capital gains and things like that. So they're definitely worth their money and weight in terms of giving you advice on what to do and what not to do, for sure.
Yeah, awesome. And what would you say to someone that's considering engaging us to help them with buying property?
I would say 100%. If you're up for a sort of seamless process, I mean, we had an amazing experience with you guys, and I've spoken to and know a lot of people that also have. So the trust that we put into you guys, the process, the communication that you sort of provided the whole way through the entire process, and I mean, making it easy for somebody or for a couple that's living a pretty busy life that wants to sort of tap into that investment side of things and doesn't have the time. It's definitely worth every cent, I reckon.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. I would just say do it. I mean, since I've left the industry, since having the boys, I've recommended quite a few clients to you, and everyone has been super happy with the service that you provide. I wouldn't have any hesitation in just telling people, just don't even second guess it, just do it. It's worth every cent.
Well, in saying that, like I keep saying that word timing, when the timing's right, we will be using you again. So we'll be coming back and going through the whole process again.
So, as you know, we look at the Australian property market as a whole, and we're always researching and trying to work out what are the best areas for our clients based on their circumstances. What gave you the confidence in your targeted locations?
Yeah, well, I think it was within probably one of the first few meetings we sat down with you, and you showed us the report that had the statistics on the locations that potentially we were looking in. And I mean, the area that we ended up investing in, you had so much data on that to support why we should. You had, stats on the industries in that area, stats on, sales in that area, absolutely everything. Which gave us so much confidence in committing to that area. And when you said, let's go ahead with there, I mean, we backed it 100%. So
Yeah. And look, a huge part of our job is always analyzing the market and finding out what areas are set to perform based on, specific drivers. And what we really aim to do is for our clients is put that in the form of a property investment report and run through that report in detail with you. That way you're armed with the knowledge, and also you've got some confidence to then go and execute a purchase in that location, right? It's pretty easy just to go and buy a property within a specific price point. That's not hard. It's like, okay, well, what areas are set to perform? What about working with our team? I mean, I feel so grateful. We've got such an experienced team. In particular, Jade, she owns 7 properties herself. That's a huge feat. How was your experience throughout the process with her?
yeah, I mean, your entire team, again, I touched on communication before, right from the get-go. The communication was amazing. Jade's communication via email, she was clear the entire way through the process. I remember getting a certain report saying on this date, this will be due, on this date, this transaction will be done. And it was laid out like so clearly and summarized really easy. And even if we had any questions or anything that we wanted clarified, Jade was awesome getting back to us really efficiently, and it made the whole process very, very easy.
Yeah, awesome. I think it just comes down to that experience, like having that personal experience and also the professional experience. Like I said, Jade owns 7 properties herself. She's been involved in hundreds, of transactions. Just knowing what's coming, knowing the pitfalls, steering you away from any kind of potholes along the journey, giving you heads up on things to come, just really does make it an easier experience. That's for sure.
I mean, that knowledge that you guys have and how professional you run the whole show is what makes the experience. Like, it makes it so much easier. It gives you so much confidence, and it's just seamless, the whole thing right from the start.